This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. All right.
Deep breath. There it is. Oh, boy. Go ahead.
Next up, UCLA 42, number 7 Penn State 37. This is the first time, Dalton, in 40 years that a top 10 team in the country lost to a team that was 0-4 or worse on the season. So not great history for the Penn State Nittany Lions right now. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the UCLA Bruins. Their highest graded player was Nico Iamaleava, actually, 91.8 grade. What a performance for him in this win at UCLA, his first win at UCLA. Cornerback Roderick Pleasant, 84.2. Isaiah Chisholm, the linebacker, 82.3. Quasi Gilmer, the wide receiver, 76.5. Key Lawrence, the safety, 74.1. And Titus Mokiao Atimalala, the wide receiver, 74.1. All right, let's go to Penn State with their highest graded players in the loss. Edge rusher Chaz Coleman, 76.3. Zariah Fisher, another edge rusher, 72.6. Vega Ione, the guard, 72.5. TJ Shanahan Jr., 69.2. And Denai Dennis Sutton, the edge rusher, 69. And the highest graded player, like UCLA, was the quarterback, but not enough. Drew Aller, 79.3 grade. In the loss for Penn State, Dalton, what told the story in one of the most shocking upsets I think we've had in college football in recent memory?
So in general, and you see those lower than we're used to defensive grades, even from the top guys from Penn State. In general, the story was, just for the game on the field, 291 rushing yards from UCLA, 9 explosive runs. Both of those numbers are the most given up by a Penn State defense since Week 7 of 2022 against Michigan. So, I mean, you're talking about a game and run defense that Penn State just doesn't have very often. And I'll be honest with you, Max, watching back this tape, I don't think up front they got physically dominated on their defensive line. I thought their linebackers were lost, and honestly, I don't know on some of these plays what the fits were. It felt to me like Jim Knowles is asking these linebackers to do what, say, Cody Simon and Sonny Styles did last year at Ohio State. And there's two big differences with that. One, it's not nearly as good a defensive line, especially stopping the run in front of them. Two, they also don't have Caleb Downs behind them. Yeah. He's asking guys like Zachy Wheatley and Zion Tracy at times to play the Caleb Downs role as that tweener box safety that cleans everything else up. It's not working. And you saw it linebacker, too, with Dom DeLuca starting in place of Tony Rojas. And Tony Rojas, who I thought really struggled against the run against Oregon, and then he's injured for most, if not all, of the rest of the season. Now you've got problems. I thought the fits and the play on the second level was really, really poor in this game. And at times, and then there was just no plan. Nico Iamaleava, I'll get to him on the whole in a minute, but 150 rushing yards, 138 of them on scrambles. And there was never an adjustment to go, hey, we might want to keep a spy on this guy, former SEC quarterback, really UCLA's best player. We came into the year thinking he was UCLA's best player because he is, and a really darn good athlete at that. And there was just never a plan for, You see zone defenders, somebody who would have his eyes on him, vacating and just turning their backs to routes. Man-to-man coverage, Nico's going to take off. He's no reason to throw when you're just vacating the box with your linebackers. It was stunts all over the place. The answers to the run game were blitzing in the A-gaps for some reason. It was just all over the place for Penn State in run defense. And yes, there were moments where UCLA was more physical, but as you're going to bring up too, a great called game by Jerry Neuheisel, son of Rick Neuheisel, former UCLA head coach. But that was the story, is that from the jump, UCLA, especially in the run game, was more ready to play this game. And the statements were made early between running the ball and then the onside kick after the first drive. Penn State didn't even touch the football till it was 10-0, right? So once you're already up 10-0 and Penn State spotted you 10, stay on the run game. We don't have to get in. We don't ever have to get an obvious pass. And Nico only threw the ball 24 times in this game. 291 yards, 9 explosive runs, worst run defense performance from Penn State in 3 years.
Yeah, my stat is UCLA in the red zone. I mean, if you're going to, pull off a colossal upset, you cannot leave any opportunities on the field, and UCLA, to their credit, they did not. They did an excellent job in the red zone in this game. 6 trips to the red zone. On those 6 trips, they got 39 points, 5 touchdowns, and a field goal. They scored on all 4 of their goal-to-go drives as well. They consistently got the ball into the red zone and didn't just settle for 3. They punched it in nearly every single time they were in the red zone. Like I said, you cannot leave chances on the field if you want to pull off a 24.5-point upset. That's what they're underdogs by in this game going into it. And they really pulled it off, man. A great job by UCLA's offense. It has not looked great a lot this year, pulling off their first win of the year over a top 10 team in Penn State. The onside kick after the first touchdown, I love that call by UCLA, just putting it all on the field. They punched Penn State in the mouth early in this game, and Penn State, after coming off a devastating loss to Oregon a week ago, and clearly they were not ready to play this game. And UCLA took advantage of that, and great job by UCLA in the run game and also in the red zone of just punching it in every single time and being able to weather a massive comeback from Penn State in the second half of this game. It did not matter because UCLA's offense was so efficient in the red zone in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what you have to do as the underdog in any game. You have to finish drives. There's some other games we're going to talk about where a team didn't finish drives, and obviously when you take those 7s and you turn them into 3s or even 0s, that's when upsets, they don't happen, right? And Penn State, they punched back in the second half, right? The block punt especially. You talk about Drew Aller actually playing well through the second half of this game, trying to bring this team back. But when you finish drives and you're constantly putting 7s on the board, it makes it really hard, even for a team that's obviously so heavily favored, to come back and make things happen. And UCLA, the fact that they never stepped off the gas was a big part in this game. And again, they didn't have to do it throwing the ball. They ran the ball the entire way through because they were always ahead, but it never got conservative. So, I mean, credit to Tim Skipper, and especially I think the onside kick call early set the tone. Credit to Jerry Neuheisel and the run game and everything they did. Just so much just better, fundamentally sound football game played by UCLA than their first 4 games. In Penn State, I think that's just the whole theme here, is they were not ready to go.
Absolutely. All right, you wanted to shout out Nico Iamaleava, who has undergone a lot of criticism this year, but he was unfreaking believable in this one for UCLA.
I mean, just gritty. I mean, you think about everything that's gone down the last 6 months or so with him leaving Tennessee, and then they start 0-4, and it's a disaster, and the coach gets fired and everything else. And look, these players, this team had every reason to quit on this season. And they came into this game with a chip on their shoulder. And mind you, I believe it was Neuheisel who also said they had, 2 days with this offensive game plan with Tino Sinceri leaving. I mean, Nico, you just 85.5 passing grade. 84.9 rushing grade. That all totals up to the 91.8 grade, the highest graded player in the game. 12 carries for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, you're ripping off more than 12 and a half yards a carry. And again, 138 of them on scrambles, 17 of 24 passing, made big throws when he had to. The throw into double coverage, I think it was late in the second quarter. Just unreal. One of the best throws I saw all day yesterday. I mean, just Nico was on it. And honestly, when you think about UCLA, and if they were going to win more games after this is what needs to happen. We came into the year going, well, Nico has to be their best player, and if he can do that and play at this level and play at the level he was always supposed to as a potential top 10 to 12 quarterback in the country, they can win games like this. right? Now they have their other flaws and they're not loaded with talent, but when you have a quarterback like that, you can win ball games, and he was just spectacular in this. I think it's the best game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, I agree. Even at Tennessee too. I
Yes.
agree with that. Yeah. I got to shout out Jerry Neuheisel, man. What an awesome story that we had in college football yesterday. Shout out to him and shout out the entire UCLA coaching staff, because UCLA, they were a disaster. Let's not put it lightly. They were a disaster going into this game. They've never led at any point in any game this year until this game against Penn State. They had losses to Utah, obviously, first off, and then New Mexico, UNLV, and Northwestern, right? So they were losing to teams that are not that great out there, especially like a team like Northwestern, New Mexico. And then Deshaun Foster was fired, right? So your head coach is fired too. Both your coordinators are gone, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. You entered this game as 24.5-point underdogs, so nobody thought you even had a chance to win this game. You had basically a pretty empty stadium in the Rose Bowl too for this game too. And somehow they still pulled it off over a top 10 team. My biggest shout out has to go to the tight ends coach in Jerry Neuheisel, who was calling plays for the first time in his career. Offensive coordinator Tino Sunseri left the program this past week. So Neuheisel said, in the press conference afterwards, they've had 2 days to prep this game plan, really, for Penn State. And in those 2 days, he perfected a game plan against an elite defense with one of the best defensive coordinators that we have in the entire country in Jim Knowles. Unbelievable job by Jerry Neuheisel. He even said, Dalton, in the post-game press conference afterwards, he couldn't figure out the headset. So he was trying to call in place to Nico on the headset. He didn't know what button to push. He's like, there were a few times, actually, where I didn't get the play in because I didn't know what button to push. Like, this is a guy who was just brand new to this, and still somehow the 33-year-old pulled off this kind of game plan against Jim Knowles and that Penn State defense. 42 points, had Nico Imaliava playing the best game of his career. Like you mentioned, he's a son of UCLA head coach Rick Neuheisel. Really awesome moment, too, because Rick is now working as a CBS analyst in the studio, and this game was on CBS. There's some great videos of Rick reacting to his son, being lifted up on the shoulders, all that. It was awesome moment for that. But Jerry Neuheisel, man, only 33 years old right now. This is a name to watch in the coaching ranks right now.
And something that gets forgotten when you talk about changing coaching staffs and everything on such a short week, and he was basically an offensive coordinator for that team for 3 days, right? It's not just the X's and O's and studying Penn State and putting together a game plan. You just mentioned with the headset and play calling and everything. Sideline operation, that's also a huge part of the preseason and all of those weeks of prep, and you have to run that in live drills and live practices and team periods to get that down. And even sometimes in the early parts of the season, it doesn't look right. You see that especially from college kids. You see that every year from most of the teams throughout the country, and the fact that they figured that part of it all also out on the fly on a team that was struggling very much on every side of the ball, but certainly offensively as well. It's just incredibly impressive, the effort that they put into this game. And what this does for this program, just with the way this season started. Just unbelievable stuff, you're right, especially on the offensive side.
Yeah, just the coaching all around was just unbelievable. And like I said, a program that really just could have quit on the year, and nobody would have blamed them, and they really rallied together and pulled off a colossal upset. Probably what will have the biggest upset of the year. I didn't pick Penn State to lose to UCLA, Eli. I don't know what this meme is right now. I didn't pick them to lose. It's not like
but it still cost you. Yeah, it's still kind of, I
got my other upset of the week, though, Wake Forest.
You did. Well done.
So I think we should talk about Penn State.
Maybe you just need to talk more about upsets this year.
I guess so.
Maybe instead of picking natty favorites and natty champions, this is your year to just upsets all the time.
My last 2 years at PFF have been great in picking who's going to win it all. Now it's like, okay, who's going to shock the world? I'm better at that.
That might be it.
I did not pick UCLA to beat Penn State, though. I will say that.
No.
I can't take credit for that.
No, you sure can't.
We got to talk about Penn State. What are we doing here? Now all of a sudden, a team that a lot of people had winning the national title going into the year. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here. They need to win out, and winning out includes beating Ohio State and Indiana. And if you're losing to UCLA, every team on your schedule can beat you now.
Sure,
every single one. So I think they have to win out and beat Ohio State and Indiana. Whereas going into the game, I was okay. You got to beat Ohio State or Indiana to make the playoff. Now they got to beat both and win the rest of their games to even make the playoff this year, in my opinion.
No, I think it's actually very simple, especially with this loss. The Oregon loss you can get over. It's double overtime. It's Oregon. Losing to Oregon in any fashion you can get over. Losing this game, The margin of error is gone. And considering, look, we've seen their offense struggle. They still have to go to Iowa. And also, if their linebackers and the run fits are struggling, you still have to go to Iowa. Not easy. Ohio State still looks like the best or second best team in the country, however you want. They still look like they look like they could repeat this year. Indiana's really darn good, and we know that.
Right after Ohio State.
Right after Ohio State.
And you're talking about a Penn State team that, by the way, lost to Oregon and very clearly was demoralized after that loss. If you're talking about if you lose to Ohio State again and then you play Indiana right after that, like are they going to be prepped for that game?
Well, if you lose to Ohio State
it's
again,
over.
if you lose to Ohio State, it's shot
I'm
anyway.
talking about in general. Like if they lose to Ohio State, who's going to say they're going to be prepped for that game? Like they obviously don't respond to losses very well.
Yeah. No, I just think in the sense of when you talk about their playoff hopes, it's very simple. I mean, they have to find a way to run that gauntlet. And to be honest with you, the way they've looked.
And they got Nebraska, too, later on.
The way that they've played, and I don't know if you have this or not, but first of all, considering this loss especially, they should not be ranked.
Oh, no.
That's first and foremost. They shouldn't be ranked. If for any reason they're ranked anywhere, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And second, right now to make the playoff, considering the way Ohio State looks and Indiana looks and the way Penn State looks, I'd put them about a 1% chance. I don't know what the actual odds are the computers say, but I'd put them about a 1% chance to make the playoff.
Ohio State,
seriously.
Indiana, not only those two teams, you got Iowa, Nebraska. Like, you got hard games left in the schedule.
Yeah.
And you're losing to what many thought was the worst team in the Power Four going into this week.
No, Penn State, they've just not played good football.
Yeah.
They haven't played a complete game this season, even against those three lesser opponents they started with. This is on the brink. And I think now you start talking about bigger things. Assuming they go to Columbus and they can't find a way to beat Ohio State for the first time in 9 years, is it? Right? I mean, it's.
I know what you're alluding to, and we won't talk about anything like that on the show, but I don't think they can. The buyout is way too big.
Maybe not,
it's a $50 million.
But then we look at a team where you go, okay, they made the Final Four last year, and this year this was supposed to be the team, and most of a good chunk of this year's team is going to go. Where does it go from here?
I think next year's. We'll see what happens next year. I think what they're going to do. But the buyout's way too big. It's like $50 million. Right?
This is as bad a loss as you could have.
Oh, I agree.
This is
I'm aware.
You're aware.
I'm aware.
No, their playoff chances are. Dire might even be understating it.
No, they need to quite literally. They need to win out now.
Yeah,
they need to win out and beat Oregon, beat Indiana, beat Nebraska, beat Iowa, beat everyone else on the schedule. They need to win their final 7 games now in order to make the college football playoff, which is something I never thought I would say about Penn State going into week 7 of college football. That's just nuts to me, but it's crazy. And UCLA pulling off the biggest upset probably will get all year, I would say. I mean, this is up there with like the Northern Illinois upset over Notre Dame last year. I wouldn't say Vanderbilt over Bama, even though the point spreads were similar, because I think Vanderbilt was actually like a very good team last year. But this is shocking. This is truly a shocking result for Penn State right now. So Penn State losing 42-37.